Eamon here. I'd just like to say to everyone who has contributed to Millwall No One Likes Us Talking broadcasting, that's listeners, guests, our team, Love Sport Radio and hosts, our sponsors, North East Millwall, Reliance Cleaning, Tower Print and Dean Wilson Funeral Directors. Thank you for being with us in such challenging times. May your Christmas be all that it can be, and may 2021 bring us out of the pandemic, a return to normality and success for our Lions. Come on, you Lions.
Hi all, I'm Libby, proud captain of Millwall Lionesses. Thank you to our Millwall fan show from the No One Likes Us Talking team for sponsoring me this year. Make sure you give them a listen like I do. Or even better, why not sponsor a Lioness while you're at it like they do? Thank you always for your continued support.
This podcast is a proud member of the Fan Hub 100. Football without fans is nothing, so we've partnered with Fan Hub to put fans first. Search Fan Hub app to play your part in the journey.
Hi, I'm Bethany Warren, and you are joining me to listen to the podcast of our Millwall fan show with the No One Likes Us Talking team.
It's the first show of COVID-19 in the fourth tier here in London. I'm your host, James Kelly, and I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Henry Morgan, Stan Godwin and George Lampy.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Evening, Henry. One all draw against Nottingham Forest at the weekend. What were your thoughts on the game?
My overriding thought was Forest scored at the point where I thought we were going to kick on and get a second goal. And I think that absolutely threw the entire rest of the game, to be honest, into a bit of a free-for-all. It was a bit like watching one of those boxing matches where you've got two people that are like gently sparring with each other. One of them gets a massive sort of knockout punch, but then the other guy immediately counteracts with a equally devastating knockout punch, and you get two people then sort of punch drunk going at it for the last half an hour of the game, unfortunately. And I thought that just Sean Hutchinson, I felt really sorry for him because he's just done so well this season, and it was such an uncharacteristic sort of miss kick. But at the statistics, I think we had mildly more possession than them. We definitely had more shots on target than Forest. They only had one shot on target and they score it, and it's it's one of those things they can just sit back then and hit us on the counter attack. And that Amiobi isn't, he's not a bad player. He's got a bit of pace, and yeah, it's another thing I sort of mentioned that we've gone ahead in the game. We haven't held on to the lead, and I think that the last 10 minutes of the game where we really need the crowd to really kick us on, they're not there. So a lot of our supposed maybe 2-1 victories this year are just becoming 1-1 draws.
Yes, it's annoying that we just can't find the killer punch to kill a game off at the moment. Stan, what were your thoughts?
It was a vast improvement from the previous game. My man in the match would have been Tom Bradshaw, closely followed by John Daddy Bavardson. But he made the best pass in the game. Well, he sliced them apart when he put that ball through, and Jed Wallace got on. He was caught in two minds and didn't know what to do, and then as a consequence he hit the thing and he missed it. But that pass was the best pass in the game. I thought he was unlucky. I mean, I suppose when they scored their equaliser, it was the old story when you're at your most vulnerable soon after you scored. But no, I was happy with the form in the end. Forest are a good team on the break. Other than that, I wasn't too concerned with them. I thought we had the better of it. The criticism I've got, and I keep saying this, is that they bring that young kid on the wing, and he brings him on with about a minute to go plus stoppage time. Well, I mean, what's the kid going to do in that time? I've seen him. He's got pace to burn. He's unafraid. He's an unknown quantity to these people. If he gets on early enough, he can have an impact on the game. You can't do that in 4 minutes.
Is this Bury you're about?
Yeah. That was the only criticism I had. I thought we played well, and I think that was the general view, because I had a look at some of the social media sites, and we didn't have none of the hysteria about another draw and sack the manager and all that rubbish. And so no, I was pleased with it.
That's good to
Obviously,
hear.
I'd have liked to win, but
Yeah, very good to hear. George, what were your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I was quite happy with it, actually. I think it's been a vast improvement the last couple of games. I moan on here enough about our centre-forward finding himself under the system previously where the centre-forward is isolated. I think these last two games where we've played two fairly close together has really worked. And I would have to say, and I'm not a Bavarson fan by any stretch of the imagination, he's made a real difference and he's played so much better that I'm amazed. But I thought Forest were a fairly good side, actually, and so I thought a draw. I know we could have won it, but I think a draw ended up being a fair result, if I'm quite frank.
Yeah, I mean, I can find positives in that game as well. Consider, like, obviously, as you said, the improvement of our strikers. Bradshaw's getting a bit of momentum at the moment, but I'm probably the most impressed with Bodvarsson, that has the amount of criticism that he's had over the last couple of weeks, and how he's just knuckled down and actually got on with it, and his performances are actually really improving. So fair play to him.
I'd have to say, James, that's happened in about the last three games for whatever reason, and I don't know why it is. I mean, he's a big, tall fella. He's about 6'3". If you stand next to him, he towers above you. Someone short like me does.
Yeah.
But, he's not been a great header of the ball. And then these last three games, he's been winning headers. And I don't know if someone's pulled him aside and worked on him, but he's a much better forward recently than he has been.
Confidence, maybe? I always think confidence is a massive thing.
Momentum, confidence, absolutely. Yeah, it was also great to hear that Sky Sports and Millwall have made peace regarding the accurate, shall we say, broadcasting of the game against QPR. Sky Sports offered an apology, which Millwall have accepted, and have now put the incident behind them and hope to look to establish a more stronger relationship between the two in the future. Before we move on to this week, we learnt from Kieran Price of The Price of Football that John Berylson, chairman of Millwall Football Club, has pushed back loan repayments until 2022 and has committed support to the club further. Investors actually put in just under £8 million for the 2019-20 in pure investment. George, I know you wanted to say a few things about this.
I believe John is putting in about, I think an estimate is £1 million a month. Not surprised that he's pushed back the loans. If you know the man, you know the sort of chap he is. And I make no apologies for once again stating how lucky we are to have John Berylson at the helm of our ship. I just think we are really fortunate when I see what is going on, even that has been going on at our near neighbours up the road. I think we're very, very fortunate to have John Berylson at the helm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would concur with that, George.
100%.
Okay, we're going to take a break there and we'll be back with our first guest of this evening. But for now, let's listen to Bethany Warren talking about Love Sport Radio.
Bethany Warren here again. Thanks for listening to our show. Don't forget, Love Sport Radio is now mothballed pending change in current conditions. You can still listen, though, to music both online and on DAB. Podcasts are available on demand. Hopefully, we'll be back on the air with them when normality returns to the marketplace.
Hello, No One Likes Us Talking listeners. It's Bethany Warren here. I just want to say a Merry Christmas to all of you and have a wonderful New Year. Thank you so much for listening.
Hi, it's James Kelly here from No One Likes Us Talking. I just wanted to wish all Millwall fans across the world a very Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. Our first guest is Lambeth-born Millwall fan, man and boy who played as a youth player for West Ham United. But when he graduated, he was loaned to Exeter City in his first year of his 20-year playing career. Stints at Swindon, Hull and Leyton Orient, where he made his greatest number of appearances and scored his most goals. From Orient, he joined Millwall in 2007 after rejecting a new deal with the O's. After a slow start with us, he became a good striker for us, according to Patricia Maslin. But his greatest Millwall career moment will always be remembered by that wonder goal he scored for us in the League One playoff final in 2009, and is reckoned to probably be the greatest ever goal scored at Wembley. Even former Lion Martin Wolford, who scored the winner for Scunthorpe that day, acknowledged that when he recently was on the show. In 104 appearances for us, he scored 25 goals before moving on to Brentford for £100,000 in 2010. He continued in league football after leaving the Bees with Crawley, Wimbledon and Burton Albion before joining non-league Greenwich Borough, where he played and managed before finally hanging up his boots and play at Ashford United, whom he also managed. After 600 games, don't be fooled by Wikipedia, he now manages non-league Glebe in a leafy suburb of Bromley Borough in Chislehurst, as his son George knocks even louder to gain a place at the Den. Once again, it's Gary Alexander that joins us in our virtual studio for our Christmas Eve show. Welcome, Gary.
Evening.
Hello, Gary. Hello, Gary.
Evening, Gary.
Right, Gary.
Evening.
Gary, before I let you off to the panel, obviously Tier 4 has put paid football for Glebe for the foreseeable future. How's the pandemic affected the club overall?
To be honest, difficult times for all non-league sides, but obviously it's a well-run club. Chairman's got it in good order, and lucky we've got some real supportive people and plenty of youth teams in that. But it's difficult times for all non-league football, But Glebe's in a good place with 25 youth teams and the first team, So we're sure we'll be here at the end of the pandemic.
Hi, Gary. Henry here. I look forward to seeing Glebe come down when you play Bearsted. Actually, I just live just up the road from Bearsted Football Club, so we're in the same division, I think.
I think we've been already. I think we've been this year, and we always it's always a goal fest.
yeah, always down at Bearsted. It is. Yeah,
good for the spectator, not for the manager.
No, true. I'll give you no heart attack, I suppose. Obviously, it would have been a very busy period coming up with Christmas and New Year's fixtures for your team. What's life usually like for a footballer and your family over this festive period?
Good, but difficult times. Obviously, we're doing something we love, and that doesn't stop. Obviously, it's stopping this year, but obviously, normally in normal situation, it's obviously difficult times because depending where you're drawn to play or whoever you're playing, you could be having Christmas dinner, and then 2 hours later, you could be in a hotel down in Portsmouth, wherever you might be, for example. But it's one of them. So I've had times where I've had a Christmas dinner, and an hour later, you got to shoot off, say bye to the kids, you're in a hotel.
Can you ever actually relax, Gary, over Christmas? I think for a lot of people it's a time where you can do that, but I guess, I don't know.
I think for us it's our job, and we get used to it. When you have a job for 20 years, you get used to it, and this time of year comes around and becomes a busy part of the season for us. But obviously our relaxation time comes from May till July, so we know we get them a couple of months, so you have to take the rough with the smooth. So you are obviously working over Christmas, you earn the right to a longer break in the summer and probably a longer holiday than most normal jobs.
Hello, Gary, it's George here.
George, you all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How was the festive season celebrated by the players, and yourselves during your time at the Den?
Oh, well, George, that'd be telling, wouldn't it? No,
you can only tell the good ones, obviously,
Yeah, to be honest, obviously, you'd arrange your Christmas do. You'd have a night arranged out, whether you're going away to like a Dublin or somewhere like that, or you've arranged something to straight after the game up to Manchester. And listen, it's part and parcel of every football club. Every manager knows it's got to happen and knows it will happen. It's obviously just got to make sure everyone comes back safe and sound, and everyone behaves, and there's no story as we've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Gary, it's Stan here. How is George? How's he getting on, Gary?
He's scoring goals. It's what he's paid to do. At the level he's playing, he's scoring goals, and he's obviously looking to build a career for himself. Hopefully that can be at Millwall, but at the end of the day, you can only score goals for so long at certain levels before you need to try yourself at other levels, and you can't sit in a reserve like a 23s or a reserve team forever, without getting an opportunity. Sometimes you have to move on, and if that's the case, I don't know. At the moment, he's scored, I think, 21 goals in 23 appearances, which is some record.
Yeah, can I just ask you something, Gal? Because I always ask this question to sort of ex-professionals, Now, would I be right in assuming that when you got involved in football and you was making your way up at West Ham and whatever, But apart from going out on loan, would I be right in saying that you had been playing in the South East counties or whatever it was then? Would I be right in thinking that?
Yeah, the South East Counties League was where we grew up, and obviously into reserve team football, where obviously reserve team football you could have any number of first team players playing. Yeah,
the question I was going to ask you, and I've asked all ex-professionals this, you've now got this academy system. When I talk about the academy system, I'm talking about the matches, not the other bits and pieces. Do you think that that's better than the old South East counties, or do you think the South East counties, that system was better for people like George and of that kids of that sort of age? It's more. What I'm trying to say is it's more competitive.
No, I think the game's changed. I think obviously back in the day, you'd have any number of first team players, no matter what age, playing in a reserve team. You know, if a first team had a 25-man squad and 8 players weren't involved in the first team, they'd be playing first team. If you was playing resis, you'd be in there, you know, whereas a lot of the 23 sides now built up of anything between 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, you know, so it's one of them. Whereas if you wasn't pulling your weight, you'd have a full-grown professional who's might have played 300, 400, 500 games, however many, put it on you. Do you know what I mean? If you weren't pulling your weight, whereas I think in the academy system these days, I don't think enough's truth told.
What do you think so far of our season, Gary, and how it's unfolded?
It's up and down, isn't it? Obviously, you read things and you listen to things, and you know I've watched a few games, obviously on the screens and that, and it's difficult. It's easy from a forward point of view. I'm always I always try and defend the forwards, you know. But if you don't get the chances, you can't score goals, you know. So it's all right saying, the forwards don't score enough goals, but if you don't get service, you're not going to score goals. If they was missing 6, 7, 8 chances a game, then I think you can blame forwards, can't you? But if you're not creating 6, 7, 8 chances, I don't think forwards could be blamed, and I'm always going to side with the forwards.
Do you think we've missed the crowd in some of those home games? I was just saying before we came on, the amount of draws we've gone ahead, the amount of draws we've had have just been unbelievable. Do you think that maybe in that last 10 minutes, was the crowd at the Den a bigger factor, giving you a lift, trying to kick you on a bit, or am I reading too much into that?
No, for me personally, 100%. I think, obviously, at Millwall, I think everybody knows what they expect, what the fans expect, and when you play for Millwall, I think before you've even played a game for them, you hear about what the fans do. They won't allow you to have that not poor game. They'll allow you to have a poor game, but they won't allow lack of effort. And sometimes, you know, when the crowd's not there and you're having a bit of a lull, it's easy to go, it's not happening today. Do you know, like, whereas if there's a full house at the Den or 10,000 people screaming at you, you have to graft, you know, so it can become difficult. I think Millwall's one of them places where they need the crowd, because not only does it help the players, it probably helps you yourself individually, you know, like knowing that, hang on, I can't drop my standards, I can't drop my work ethic, I have to work.
Gal, can someone answer that phone? Gal, let me ask you a question here, and you might need to take your dad's hat off here. These young fellas that we got, George included, coming into the team, but we haven't done well. Last couple of games we've done all right, but 10 games prior to that, we've been struggling a bit. Now, for any manager, and I'd like you to look at this from a manager's point of view, it's hard putting young fellas into a team that might be struggling a bit, isn't it?
Yeah, yes and no. Obviously, sometimes it can relieve a little bit of pressure, because obviously you guys want to see youngsters, and what's the point of having a youth system if they never get a chance? Obviously, but then if a team's not playing well, to put a kid into a team that's not playing well can be difficult, and it can be obviously confidence draining, can't it? You know, like if you go out there and a team doesn't win and you look at your performance, go, I haven't done well enough, and things like that. You know, it can become difficult. But then on the other hand, it can go and make a man of a kid.
Yeah. How would you? So that's a fine balancing act, then, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, 100%. As I said, it's probably about timing. But how do you know until you give these kids a chance? How do you know? It's all right saying, "Oh no, we're in a rut. We can't get out of it." But how do you know if they're good enough until you give them a run? You know, like giving people 4, 5, 6 minutes, so they're never going to show what they're worth, are they? You know, you need to give them time and see how they go. You know, if after 3 or 4 games they're not showing anything or any quality, or they're not up to the standard, then maybe that's the time to go, well, this is probably not your level.
I tell you what, Gary, that was music to my ears, that, mate. Because no, you're spot on. Because I can't constantly argue this thing. I mean, I think sometimes it becomes too much of an excuse for managers to turn around and say, they're not quite up to it, and the pressure and whatever. I mean, you worked under Kenny Jackett. Right now, in my opinion, and you might have a different point of view to me, but Kenny Jackett, I remember not so long ago watching part of the 1984 Cup final between Watford and Everton, and I'm watching the teams come out, and as the Watford team come out, there was about 4 or 5 players in that team that, in which Kenny Jackett was one of them, that had come through their youth system. Okay, now to my mind, and I'll stand corrected. In Kenny Jackett's time at Millwall, I don't think his record was too great myself in bringing in these young players, because, as you say, if you take your boy George as a for instance, how do we know where he's going to do it unless you give him a chance? I mean, it's because you're never going to know that, are you? I mean, that's my. I'd be interested to hear what your view is.
No, and that's exactly it. You're not going to know until you try them. It's one of them. If, as a regular first team player, you're not winning games and you have 10 bad games, when are you going to change it? When are you going to see if the kid's got the opportunity? And how do you find out if he's good enough? By giving them the opportunity. I think if you look at the Championship over the last probably couple of seasons, how many 16-year-olds have made debuts? How many 16-year-olds have then been sold, or 17, 18-year-olds been sold for 10, 15, 20 million pounds because they've been given that opportunity? And that it's a great opportunity for Millwall that they're successful 18s, they've been successful at 23s, and if you look at a lot of clubs, your Charltons and that, they throw them in, they throw these kids in, and even if they're not going to be good enough for them, they get a price tag on their head, and they can become valuable and sold on.
Yeah, Carlin Grant being a good example of that from Charlton.
Yeah, 100%. Like a lot of the Charlton boys, there's a few of them now making their way within the first team. All right, it's League One, but they're making their way and they're making careers for themselves. They've been given that opportunity, and they're grasping it. So until you're given a chance, you'll never know. And if you're not given a chance, you're definitely not going to find out, are you? Sometimes you have to move on to go and forge your career somewhere else and find a level and do well at that level, and then step again, and keep stepping.
I don't want to sort of do gloom and doom here, but the point you made there, but the point you made there, Gal, is that you tend to be able to afford to do that in League One. It's not quite as easy in the Championship, though, is it?
Leeds did it.
Well, but I don't know. You're brought up at that level, aren't you? So obviously Charlton are in League One, so they've got no choice. Charlton can't play in the Championship if they're not in the Championship. It's whatever league you're in. But if your lads, if you've got a young kid who's sparking and he's doing well, then the opportunity is to give him a chance, isn't it? But hang on, it's to give him a chance, and whether that be one at a time, whether that be two at a time. If you're not winning football matches, something has to change, doesn't it? And as we said before, you might take 2 regular first teamers out or have played 300 games, stick, let's say, as I said, a Billy Mitchell a start, a Tyler Berry a start, and all of a sudden they win. Cool, we should have tried that ages ago. That's what everyone will say, won't they? It's one of them. And so until you try it, you don't know. But it's an easy excuse to go, oh, no, it's not, the time's not right. Well, when's the time right? If you're winning, you're not going to get a chance. If you're losing, the time's not right. So when do you get a chance?
Yeah.
No,
and of course, right. And supporters all supporters, and especially our club, we love the youngsters coming through. So, yeah.
No, 100%. And I think we've got lads in the youth in that setup there what love the club, what know what the club's about, what know what you guys are about. And listen, at times they do know worse. But obviously, listen, they're young. They will make mistakes just like everyone, But as I said before, look, if you're winning, if Millwall are winning games, the youth aren't going to get a chance. When they're losing games, why don't they get a chance?
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, I don't know what your view on all this is, Gal, but I mean, you take that kid Eze at Crystal Palace now. I mean, he was. I mean, personally, I think before the end of this season, right, I think he's going to be called up into the England squad. Now, I'm not saying he's going to play. I mean, it might only be that he does 2 or 3 days training and never to be seen again. But I watch him, and it just annoys me, the fact that we had him right? And yet we had to, and for him to, and so the story goes, for him to flourish at his skills, we had to send him out on loan because we had all this long ball rubbish, and that's no good for players like him. He goes to QPR. And he's now at Palace, and I watched him the other night. I mean, and I think it breaks my heart to think we had that kid, and we've now not got him.
I think it's it's one of them. Is he a Millwall player? Like you've said there, Millwall style of play. Whoever the manager was at the time, does he fit the bill? And probably at the time when Eze was at the club, whoever was manager, did he fit the bill? He's probably a number 10 or a free row, isn't he? Did he fit the bill? And he obviously didn't, but. Listen, you always get him slip the net, and obviously he's the one who has slipped the net, and it must hurt to see that he's been released, not been offered a contract, and he's been sold for 15 million. He's probably going to be worth 30, 40 million by the time the season ends, isn't he? But again, how do you know if you don't get that opportunity? That lad never got an opportunity. He had to move on.
Yeah, I mean that's right because sometimes, and we hear all this business about. We when you hear some of these players being played, some people sort of drag out about the wages and the contracts and the budgets and all this stuff. But when you look into the background of some of these players, I mean, a couple of seasons ago we played Preston. We were 3-0 down in 15 minutes and they cut us apart. They're two central defenders. They look quality players. So I looked into their background. They'd been part of the Preston youth set-up. And for about 18 months to 2 years, had gone out to all these non-league teams, you'd never heard of before. And they come back as the finished article, given the chance. That's how you're going to do it.
Yeah, no, definitely, exactly. And as we said, look, if you're in a side that, Preston haven't had the greatest of runs. Obviously, they survive in the Championship and they're up and down, pretty similar. But like we said, if you're winning games, it's hard to break into any team, whether you're a regular first-team player, but you're 17th man, it's going to be hard to get in. So for a kid, it's going to be hard. But when you're not in a good spell, perhaps that's the time to try, and they might shine. If they don't shine, then you pull them out, have that conversation and say, look, the time's probably not right. But it is it's a difficult one because, as you said, you can't keep 18, 23-year-olds forever. We've got a good setup in the 18s, we've got a good setup in the 23s, but they're not going to stay around forever. They're not. They're going to have to move on and go and forge a career somewhere else. You can't be sitting in the 23s until you're 23. There's no vow in it whatsoever. But what first-team manager is going to take a lad with 223 games under his belt to a lad who's got 50, 60, 70, 80 first-team games under his belt? Who are you going to pick?
No, that's right. Absolutely right, mate.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on, Gary. All the best to you and your family this Christmas and New Year. But before you go, can you give us a prediction for the Coventry game when the team's returned from isolation in the New Year?
Home or away?
We're
home, yeah.
0-0.
0-0. Great. Happy New Year. Thanks, Gary. No doubt we'll get you back on the show in the new year. Merry Christmas. Take care.
No, thanks for having me, guys. Good to hear from you all, and hopefully we'll catch up soon. Stay safe,
Merry
everyone.
Christmas, mate.
Cheers, Gary.
Take care.
Cheers,
Take
mate.
care. Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Well, we're going to take a break there, and we'll listen to Kai Bennett and his Millwall Fan TV.
Hey, I'm Kai from Millwall Fan TV. On Millwall Fan TV, I cover pre-match predictions, post-match analysis, and a bit of full-time reaction when we can go to the games. Also, quite a few X-Lines chats on my my YouTube, actually, as we speak right now. I've got some Martin Wolford, Scott Barron, that just a couple to name a few. So do it for the love of Millwall. Absolutely love Millwall, and let's hope we can push on next year and make the playoffs. And if you could subscribe to Millwall Fan TV, that'd be absolutely amazing, and hopefully we can follow the journey together. Comedy Lines.
Hello, Patricia Meslin here. The best Christmas gift is to realise how much we already have. We can look forward to saying goodbye and good riddance to 2020. And welcome a new and better 2021. For all my fellow Millwall fans out there, make your Christmas sparkle and your New Year shine.
Hello, everybody. It's George from the No One Likes Us Talking team. I'd like to wish all my colleagues on No One Likes Us Talking a really happy Christmas. But to all the listeners, I'd like to wish everybody a happy Christmas and a healthy New Year. Keep safe, everybody. There you go.
I'm James Kelly, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Henry Morgan, Stan Godwin and George Lampy. That was Kai, Zer, as Eamon calls him. I hope he approves that, but would it matter if he didn't? Check out Kai with his new studio backdrop on Millwall Fan TV sites on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Next up, we hear about Millwall Lionesses and the Mill Romans as their season hit the buffers. Since lockdown permitted, both the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have played one game each. It was a loss for the Lionesses and a win for the Romans. Tier 4 has now stopped them playing once again. Here's how the Lionesses look in Eastern Region Women's Division 1 South after that loss to East Bergholt United. They sit 4th in the league out of 7, having played 5, won 2, drawn 1 and lost 2. Scoring 13 goals, conceding 12. And getting 7 points on the board. Meanwhile, the Millwall Romans remain unbeaten this season. They're at the top of the London Unity League with an incredible goal difference, having won one game 26-0, with Jay Lamonius scoring 8 to leave him top of the goal-scoring charts too. It all looks promising for this Millwall side, who are heading towards back-to-back championship title holders. That's if, indeed, their season resumes. George, what are your opinions on returning to football for those below the elite level?
Well, James, I think it's going to be a bit of a sticky wicket. I can't see it happening, actually, for some time, especially while maybe not only our area will be in Tier 4, but lots of others. So I can't see the teams, that 2 teams we're mentioning, returning anytime soon. And when it comes to the Lionesses, I'm a little bit, I suppose, like lots of Millwall supporters, I'm quite disappointed the Lionesses are 4th in the table at the moment. I thought they would be kicking on this season and be right up there. But, that's just something we'll have to wait and see. As for the Romans, well, I've been on here before saying I have a soft spot for them. And I remember interviewing Jay with Jeff Burnage, and he's such a bubbly character, and he was so confident that I'm not at all surprised he got 8 goals in one game. He certainly talked it up. So, and I'm just delighted for the Romans, to be honest. And I love having them within the Millwall umbrella. Let's put it that way.
Stan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm just looking at the table in terms of the Lionesses. I mean, they're only 3 points behind the leaders. I mean, OK, they played the same amount of games, but, so they're not doing too bad. I mean, there's plenty of scope there, or there would have been if they get back to playing again. And I think that's the same with the Millwall Romans. I think that's probably. I mean, in actual fact, George might be surprised. He might even be astounded, but I would tend to agree with him on all that. I think that there's.
I am Stan. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I happen to think you're right, George, in terms of whether they're going to come back playing again. I mean, it would be no surprise to me if it turns out that they don't, because I just think that the powers that be have lost control of all this. I mean, it's but that's just my view. But I hope they do get back, and if they did get back, and they was allowed to finish this season, there was no more lockdowns and whatever, I think they would do quite well. Personally, I tend to agree with George. I'd be surprised if that happens.
Yeah. And last but not least, Henry.
I don't really know what to add, to be honest. I mean, I guess they probably need to have a think about what they just null, if they do indeed need to call everything off, do they just null and void the entire season, or do they have promotions and relegations and championships sort of, based on the current situation they've got here? There's quite an interesting debate going on in America at the moment with the American college football system, where they're having all kinds of problems trying to choose the final 4 teams that are going to go and play for the championship because COVID's hit it so badly. And I think you've got a very similar situation that's unfolding here, which is a real shame, especially, it seems quite clear to me that the Romans are going to win their league. The Lionesses are well placed, aren't they? They've got sort of 2 games in hand on the team just above them, who they lost to, and so they could really go on and push for the title. But sort of after the reversing act of the last week and making up an entire new tier which nobody even knew existed, I think it's incredibly difficult to know exactly what is going to happen from now on. Will there be a tier 5, and will that affect the men's team as well? I don't know, but I think all bets are off, to be honest, James, which I think is a real shame because as I said, I think both teams are in a fantastic position.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I honestly can't see the this tier 4 being lifted for another 6 months or so, given the severity of it. Sadly, I think that means that they may have to avoid the seasons entirely, or maybe even do it on a points per game ratio like they did for League One and League Two last season. But again, that remains to be seen. So all of us here are hoping for a positive and logical outcome.
We are, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So over to you. Before we move on, here are messages from both the Lionesses and the Romans.
Hiya, this is Libby Stubbs, captain of the Millwall Lionesses. I just want to wish all the No One Likes Us Talking listeners a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thank you for all your support throughout the season.
Hi, this is Paul Oding, manager of the Millwall Romans FC, and I just want to wish everybody a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Great to hear from Libby and Paul there, and we thank you both and your teammates for bringing your stories to our show. All the best to you both and your management teams, support and playing staff for Christmas and the New Year. Next, here is the first of 2 chances to win a prize tonight. Silver Fox Creations have donated an A4 framed print of one of their latest compositions from their Bexley Heath London house, which is also selling well from their other houses in New York and Paris. It's an A4 framed image with the name Millwall inserted to replace the words on something like a Marmite or a Bovril label on a jar with the words "I love it" below. All you have to do is answer the following question to win this prize. Who is Millwall's most capped player whilst playing for the Lions? Is it David Ford, Shane Ferguson or Eamon Dunphy? To enter, please send your answer to studio@noonelikesustalking.com. No One Likes Us Talking is all one word, and talking is without a G. Get your answers in before New Year's Day, and the winner will be announced on the first show back in January on the 7th. Be lucky. Okay, we're going to take a break there and listen from someone who lives in the ideal place to be a Millwall fan on the other side of the pond. But here's Bethany Warren asking you to be someone else's eyes.
Hi, Bethany Warren here. Millwall Lionesses have partnered with international smartphone application Be My Eyes. Be My Eyes is an application that truly benefits the poor of sight and the blind, but is supported by those of us that can see.
You might wonder how blind people deal with everyday challenges. Well, normally the answer is simple. We're not that different from you. We play music. We go to school. We go to work. You get the picture. But sometimes the simplest things can be difficult, and we need a pair of eyes.
Connect to first available number.
That's where you come in.
Establishing video connection.
Through your smartphone, Be My Eyes connects the blind with sighted people through a live video connection. Simply choose if you need help or want to help by the click of a button.
That's a nice picture of you and your family, Caroline. Is it for a present? Yes, it's a photo from my parents.
You can help just by installing the Be My Eyes app.
Gripped image.
And we'll notify you when someone needs your help. And if you're in the middle of something, don't worry. Someone else will step in. So, would you care to be my eyes?
Be My Eyes is displayed on the Lionesses shorts this season. Download the app onto your smartphone now and help those that need your eyes straight away.
Hello, Dave Hart here. Christmas is a time for family and friends. I would like to wish all of our No One Likes Us Talking listeners a very Merry Christmas, because you are our friends and part of the Millwall family. See you in 2021. God bless you all.
Henry Morgan here, just wishing all the Millwall family a very, very Merry Christmas. Even though it's been a fairly strange year, let's hope the new year brings us success both on and off the pitch for all of us. Take care. Come on, you Lions.
I'm James Kelly, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Henry Morgan, Stan Godwin and George Lampy. I must download the app, guys. It seems very useful to have, specifically in these challenging times. Our second guest tonight is from the United States of America, and no stranger to our show. He hails from that place in the States that is most certainly the right spot for any Millwall fan to reside, Milwaukee. Let's welcome tonight's fan in the dugout, Daryl Brigging. Evening, Darren.
Hey, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Very well, thanks. And you?
Darren. Yeah.
Evening, Darren.
We'll talk to you again. So, thanks, James.
No problem, Daryl. Great to have you back. Firstly, though, how's the pandemic conditions affected you and those close to you?
Yeah, I think the last time I spoke with you was back in the summer, and since that time I've really become aware of a lot more people have ended up getting COVID, kind of from around September, October, and really into November, and we're seeing it start to drop off again in our area. But my two oldest boys had it, and it caused the rest of the family to have to self-quarantine for a couple of weeks, and fortunately they had minor cases, and quite a few people in our church had gotten COVID, and I travel a lot in my job, and I know of a couple of clients who I was in contact with who had some serious cases, hospitalizations. So, yeah, I've been able to avoid it thus far, but I guess you try to be smart about what you do, and at the same time, we all need to keep on living life, right?
Exactly that.
Hello, Daryl. Henry here, mate. Pleasure to meet you.
Hi, Henry. Thank you.
So, obviously, Millwall have got more than enough draws already this season. We've got 25 points in the bank at Christmas. How do you think we've been doing?
Yeah, that run of 10 games, obviously, without a win was not good. The result against Force on the weekend, it kind of seems like it sums up the season to some degree. It really felt like we should have had 3 points. Just a real aggressive and a workmanlike effort by the team, and then you have another clear handball inexplicably not called, and then we get punished by one defensive lapse, and it ends up being a goal.
The handball.
Yeah, exactly. Then we end up with a draw rather than a win, and I do think we have a team that on our best day can be challenging for a playoff spot, but it seems like on our worst day, we feel like we can be dragged, closer to the edges of a relegation battle. But, the truth is I think we're somewhere in between a mid-table squad. And what I've been really kind of interested in was after that Middlesbrough defeat, we started seeing, a few people about, saying row it out. I didn't in any way feel that should happen, but once you see those calls begin to emerge, I think it's important to just take a deep breath, and then let's see how Rowett and the team responds, and can he fix it? Can he get a positive response from the team? And you need to allow some time for those questions to be answered. And I think so far the response has been really good. 2-0 win at Bristol City, and then the draw with Forest. I think. The gaffer made changes. He went to the back four, which I think gave us more balance between offense and defense. Feel pretty good about Murray Wallace on the left side of the defense so that we can, run with a back four. Bodvarsson and Bradshaw have looked lively up front. I just think we need more quality on the attack to go with the effort. I don't think anybody can say the team has quit on Rowett. He's put more Millwall-like players back on the pitch, and they're giving the effort that we ask of them. So hopefully things are stabilizing. Of course, now we got COVID, and it's thrown a wrench into things. So we'll have to wait and see for a couple of weeks how things look.
George here. Hello, Daryl. How are you?
Hey, George. How are you?
Not too bad. Has sport and attendance of fans at stadiums been severely restricted, as it has been the case here?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same situation here. Each of our states pretty much kind of set a lot of the guidelines rather than the centralized federal government. I know we've got the pro basketball season starting today. There's not going to be any fans in attendance. American football, Green Bay Packers are my team. I think they're only allowing 2,000 fans in the stands. My oldest son, he coaches high school basketball, and only immediate family can attend. And you see there that the players and the coaches, everybody's wearing masks during the game, so they even wear masks while they're playing. So it is pretty restrictive to me, and I still find it quite baffling that we, in an outdoor situation, while it seems like we should be able to have more, we should be able to have fans in the stands, distance them out, and it's baffling to me that we still can't do it.
Yeah, it's Daryl, Stan here, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah,
okay.
Stan. Oh,
It's
doing
good.
great. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad, mate. It's great to hear from you once again. From what you have seen and heard, where do you think we need to strengthen in the January transfer window?
Yeah, I know the popular answer seems to be striker, but I don't really see that happening. I mean, we have 5 or 6 strikers, and I would have loved to have seen a guy like Ivan Toney brought in the summer from League One, but Brentford spent $6 million at least, and they said with add-ons it might be $10 million, to get the best striker in League One. So that it kind of shows what you need to spend at a minimum for a quality striker coming from the tier below. And obviously Brentford can do that because they sold, I think it was Ollie Watkins to Villa for, it might have been close to £30 million. If we wanted a guy like Ivan Toney, we're going to have to sell folks like, Jed Wallace maybe last January, or perhaps Jake Cooper this summer. And so I think in that situation, we just need to hope for Bodvarsson and Bradshaw to get on a good run of form, and for the other guys to step up, if need be. My one concern is I feel like we're not getting a lot of quality chances. We're getting a fair number of shots, but many seem low percentage. I think if we're going to strengthen, I feel like maybe a central attacking midfielder or somebody who can play in that number 10 role who can link the midfield with the forwards. Someone who has vision, take a pass and quickly find somebody heading to the net. I like what I saw when Bodvarsson laid off that little pass to Jed on Saturday. Unfortunately, Jed kind of ended up neither shooting or passing, but those are the kinds of things to unlock defenses I'd like to see more of. And I think Ben Thompson has played in that role in the past. Maybe he can work his way back in the lineup. I think maybe I've been looking at like possible loan moves, like a guy like Emil Smith-Rowe of Arsenal. He was on loan at Huddersfield Town last year, and he's got quality, but probably to be honest, the way things are going for Arsenal right now, maybe they want to consider giving him a chance. And I can see like guys like Thompson and Rowe fitting in a 4-2-3-1. I think Leonard has done a good job in central midfield in that 4-4-2. But maybe Jason Malumbi, he's kind of wasting away at Brighton, not getting an opportunity. Maybe we can get him back on a short-term loan, and he would fit well, obviously, in that 4-4-2. He did a good job for us last year.
Yeah. Darryl, kind of on the same sort of theme there. Who has been your player of the season so far? Who's really stood out for you from Millwall's perspective?
Wow. That's a tough one. I would say I really like Jake Cooper a lot. He's just a really good defender. I feel like we've had guys in and out of the lineup so much it's hard to pinpoint somebody who's been consistently playing well. And I think for the most part he's been one of the most consistent. I like that him and Hutchinson back there. I mean it's a great duo.
Well, Darren, it's been great to talk to you once again. But before we say goodbye to you, what do you think the score will be when the Lions get back from isolation and face Coventry City on the 2nd of January?
Yeah, that's it'll be a tough one to figure out because with COVID, who's going to be back and playing? What type of condition will we be in? And this might be a nice break, actually. I was thinking for Jed Wallace and Jake Cooper and some of the guys who really logged heavy minutes. So this break might do them some good. I know Coventry City's been in really good form lately. They won I believe three games, maybe drew 4 without a defeat, and then I think they lost to Sheffield Wednesday Saturday. So I guess I'm a bit more pragmatic than I am romantic. So I'm going to go with the theme of the year, and I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. Okay, thanks, Daryl. We wish you and your family a wonderful Christmas and a happy and healthy New Year. Take care and stay safe.
I wish you guys a wonderful Christmas.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Daryl.
Thanks so much, mate.
A great time with your families, okay?
Thanks, Daryl. Take care, mate.
All right, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Hello, everyone. This is Jeff Burnage. Happy Christmas to everyone who loves Millwall. As supporters, please let's all pause to care about the club and each other's feelings and to remember that we are a family.
Hi all, Gary here. At this special time of year, I'd like to say Happy Christmas to all at Millwall and to all my Millwall friends. It's been a very tough year on and off the pitch, but let's all stick together and we will get through this. All the best to Gary and the team, and again, have an amazing Christmas with lots of love and happy times. Take care.
Okay, before we preview our next game and first game of 2021, former Lions keeper Brian King has a message and a question for you all.
Hi, Brian King here, wishing you and yours a happy Christmas and all the best for 2021 in these challenging times. I was Millwall goalkeeper in the 60s and 70s and hold the record number of appearances for that position, and it's quite a lot. I'm sure you heard me recently on our Millwall fan show. If you missed it, you can find it through a link on the website, noonelikesUsTalking.com. And No One Likes Us Talking is all one word, and talking is without a G. That is noonelikesUsTalking.com. Just to go to our Millwall fan show, and you will find me on the list. More importantly, the guys have a copy of my autobiography to give the lucky winner of the following question. What was the name of the team I played for before joining Millwall? Good luck with that, and as we said earlier, have a lovely Christmas and a happy New Year.
Well, Brian King's autobiography definitely has some great stories and includes many iconic names from the 60s and 70s, such as Sir Alf Ramsey, Ray Clements, Eusebio and Brian Clough, and also of the Millwall players in that era. To enter, please send your answer to studio@noonelikesUsTalking.com. No One Likes Us Talking is all one word and without a G. Get your answers in before New Year's Day and the winner will be announced on the first show back in January on the 7th. Be lucky. Well, in advance of discussing the Coventry City game, let's hear what our very own Henry Morgan had to say.
When I started looking into this, I got one of my friends who works at a data analytical firm for a betting company because I couldn't get a Coventry fan at such short notice after doing a wonderful View from the Opposition with a Bournemouth fan that even had "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" poem at the beginning of it. However, since that has been slightly kiboshed, I went to basically to ask him what inverted commas the numbers say. So what they do is they rate a number of passes, headers, attacking passes, passes to the left, passes to the right, shots on targets, gives each player a rating out of 100 basically. And then based on that, they work out a percentage of who's more likely to score a goal. Is it Millwall or is it Coventry? And essentially, you know, he's kind of said that we are potentially half a goal better than Coventry in all of our games this season based on the quality of our team, if you take all of our ratings compared to them. However, in the last 6 games, I think, you know, quite rightly, as we've pointed out already, Coventry have gone on a bit of run of form. So what you start to look at then is the fact that we're actually a lot closer. I think we're less than a quarter of a goal. I know you can't have a quarter of a goal, but in this kind of sense, that's kind of what they say. There is a quarter of a goal in the difference. If Millwall were at home, usually they would add about 0.2 or 0.3 for the home crowd, but this season obviously we haven't had that, so that's not being added, which I thought was interesting as well. Rating Coventry's players, they've actually got their best players as being their keepers at the moment, because basically I think they're getting a lot more action than the rest of the team. Their best outfield player was the centre-back Dominique Haim. Hyam. So I guess he's definitely going to be someone that we're going to need to look out for and try and break down. Maybe we need to match him up with someone like Bodvarsson or Smith to try and make sure that they have an impact, cause a bit of chaos around him. And interesting, I was saying this earlier, they've actually got Sean Hutchinson as our best player based on the ratings that they use. Where their analytics man said Jed Wallace, Cooper, Moll and Romeo were his top three players if you were kind of taking them. What I do think is interesting about the Coventry game is obviously I think there are a number of Millwall players that do need a rest. Jed Wallace being one of the ones that we've already highlighted, and I think that, you know, him, Leonard, maybe Ryan Woods, those sorts of players just getting a bit of both mental and physical rest before going into a game against Coventry could really be the turning point of our season. I think I've been using the "we might be a bit fatigued" tagline for the last 4 or 5 weeks in the sort of view from the oppositions I've been doing. You know, are we a bit tired, smaller squad, etc., etc. Well, now we're going to find out if that's even a valid excuse, because, you know, it looks to me like Coventry have got to play their next couple of fixtures. We don't, so we've really got to go out and win that. I think if we don't, then, well, you know, I think we could start looking at the other end of the table as opposed to the top end of the table.
George, what are your thoughts on the game against Coventry?
Well, I noticed there are a couple of places behind us, I think, in the league. I mean, by the time we miss these two games coming up, the Coventry would have played more, and I suppose quite a few teams may have gone above us. That worries me a bit. I don't like to see us too near the bottom three. I think psychologically any team that goes in the bottom three gets dragged into the quagmire. I didn't think Coventry would do very well this year. Hearing Henry say that they've been on a bit of a run worries me also. But I worry about, I'm a bit disappointed with Coventry that they haven't got their own home and they're playing at Birmingham, if memory serves me right. And I find that very sad because I know Coventry to be, used to have a lovely stadium at Highfield Road, if I remember rightly, and and not to be able to play at this other modern stadium in Coventry seems to be a crime to me. So I have a degree of sympathy, but obviously not when they're playing us. So let's wait and see how that goes.
Exactly. Stan, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think personally, I think when we get round to playing Coventry, I mean, as good as their form might be, I think we're coming back into form. So I'm confident we will win the game, okay? And I think that with the transfer window coming in January, and hopefully, we will resign Jason Malumbi, because I think he's another reason why it's all been a bit hit and miss this year, lacking him. And then we might get our striker situation sorted out. I mean, we've got the guy down from West Brom, and he was looking quite well. Then he got injured, and the only other thing, I mean, I just find it strange, and I've got no axe to grind personally, but I remembered when we brought in Troy Parrott. I mean, everybody was talking about, he's the new Harry Kane. He was going to score all these goals and whatever. Well, so far he's not done that. And I'm not saying that's his fault. I mean, there's reasons for that. But this goal glut that was suddenly going to appear on his arrival has not happened. So, but I think that will turn around. I just think, I get a bit frustrated at times when I keep getting all these negative waves about, we'll have a draw, sack the manager, and all this hysteria. I mean, it's frankly a nonsense. And I've been reading about, what we ought to do is bring in, who was it, Nigel Pearson, and Eddie Howe. He's
going to come to the den.
Yeah, I mean, why would managers who are established, I say with a small e, in the Premier League, And why would they come to someone like Millwall? Why do they think they would do that? And
not sure
when
Nigel
you answer
Pearson.
people, they just say, "Oh well, pay them the money." Well, okay, fantasy world. But I think we'll be okay once we get it sorted out. I think we'll be fine, personally.
Mm.
And if at the end of the day, right, we don't make the playoffs, is it the end of the world?
No.
All
No,
things
not at all.
considered, I don't think so.
I think
some
if
people just need to get a grip.
I think if our team finishes in the top 10 of the championship, we can consider that a really good season.
I was about to say exactly the same thing,
Yeah.
George. Top 10 is outstanding.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing that I mentioned was that the analytics guy Rory that did that said that when he runs the numbers, we're the 13th best team in the championship. So anything you would think, I know that's only one metric, but think about that. So if we finish above 13th, technically we're punching above what people would expect us to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I agree with Stan. I certainly think we will win that fixture. I think we will come back refreshed. And I see us winning that comfortably, about 3-1.
Yeah. I mean, I think our biggest problem, personally, is the fact that we possibly can't get crowds in. I mean, I think I've got no doubt at the end of last season, that affected us. It took us a long while to get the grips for that. And I think, but everyone's in that position. But I just think it affects us possibly more than some other teams. But what can you do if they're not allowed in? They're not allowed in, are they? I mean, that's the end of it.
Yeah. I think not only that, but also the lack of Callum Davidson as Gary Rout's number 2 has had a massive impact on the side as well.
I don't know. I hear all these things. Last season, it was all suddenly Livermore's fault, and we're going along hunky dory, and all of a sudden the wheels start to come off. And then somebody's sort of saying, "Oh, well, the number 2 guy that's now taken over from Callum Davison, well, it ain't looking too good." Well, so that's his fault then. I don't see that argument at all, personally. I mean, I'm not saying that Callum Davison's not a better coach and whatever, but he clearly wanted to become a manager, which he's now got.
I think the point you make, Stan, about Parrott, it'd be quite interesting to see. Now he seems to be playing 2 up front. It'd be very interesting to see how Parrott gets on now, rather than being there on his own. I think we might see a little bit more from the boy, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a football brain on him, no question about that. And then he's a good player. I mean, he might need to adjust, right? Because I did hear one of the commentators in one of the games turn around and said, I don't know if it was the last home game or one before then, where he was, he went too quick. Now, if he was playing with Premiership players, as he moved, he would have got the ball, but he ain't playing with Premiership players, so they're a little bit slower. So he's got to adjust on all that, right? I mean, but he's a good player. He's just, for whatever reason, but
I think he had to come deep because he wasn't getting the ball, and I think he found himself isolated. So
yeah.
I think he may not now with a bit of luck.
It'll all come good in the end.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, predictions, guys. George, what are you saying?
I'm saying 3-1.
3-1 to the Lions. Good. Yep. Stan?
I'll go 2-0.
2-0 to the Lions. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And Henry, what are your prediction?
Yeah, 2-1.
2-1.
2-1.
So that's 3-1, 2-0 and 2-1, so wins all around. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm actually quite relieved that the festive games have been postponed. Obviously, given Bournemouth and Watford's positions, they're looking at the top end of the table, and I feel a rest would do the players a world of good. But obviously, it goes without saying that everyone here at No One Likes Us Talking, our thoughts are with the players who have tested positive for COVID, and they make a full and swift recovery.
I agree.
Soon. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
Do we know what players that is, by the way?
No, we don't. And I don't think it's I don't want to speculate because obviously it's not. Yeah, but I'm not too sure. The club didn't actually reveal who exactly tested positive.
No, they haven't. I should imagine that's why they keep it quiet.
Yeah. We're going to take a break there now and listen to the inquiring voice of Patricia Maslin.
Hi, Patricia Maslin here. The Millwall Community Trust needs volunteer help. Whether you're an organisation with bodies able to assist or an individual, the Trust needs you during the current conditions to support the vulnerable and needy. If you can help make a difference or need help, please contact Sean Daly, the Trust's Chief Executive Officer, by phone on 07 958 027060. Once again, that's 07 958 027060. Or contact by email sdaly, I'll spell that, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. I'll repeat that, sdaly, SDALY, at millwallcommunity, all one word, .org.uk. If you can, or you know someone or any organisation who might be able to help, please let the Community Trust know. Thank you.
Hi, this is Stan Godwin. I'd like to wish all Millwall supporters and their families a very Merry Christmas, and hopefully next year will be better when we will see the back of the coronavirus.
And no one likes us talking's Ted Robinson says,
a Merry Millwall Christmas to 1M Wall, and have a happy New Year, and look after yourselves. Cheers.
I'm James Kelly, and I'm back with the No One Likes Us Talking team of Henry Morgan, Stan Godwin and George Lampy. People continue to lose their lives due to this dreadful virus or as a consequence of suffering with it. As deaths and infections continue to rise, whilst many more remain hospitalised too, our thoughts go out to their friends, families and those who take care of them.
There are so many fans who want to support the club, and you can help by joining the Lions Loyalty Club. It costs £40 with benefits. For £25, you or a member of your family can also be a crowdie. For £103.95, you can be a virtual mascot with benefits. Why not sponsor a player's kit for $570 with all of those benefits, and probably a free kit as well? All the details and more can be found on a Millwall website. Lastly, don't forget, iFollow returns to the Den with Carl Bates on January the 2nd for our game against Coventry City. 100% of what you pay, less taxes for the internet streaming services, home or away, goes back to Millwall Football Club. What a good way to improve their revenue in these challenging times. Have a very Merry Christmas from me.
This is the final show of 2020, but we return at 8 o'clock on Friday, the 8th of January, when Eamon Barkley will host Henry, Gary and Jeff for the first show of 2021. Beyond that, Scott Johnson, the founder of the Proper Blokes Club, is looking for guys to come along and join him to break the stigma of men's mental health with walk and talk groups. Being in Tier 4 means walks will continue on a one-to-one basis. And well done for the shoebox collection for the homeless at Christmas. The Proper Blokes and those who donate have done a fantastic job. To find out more about them, check out the Proper Blokes Club on Twitter and Facebook for further details. Good night and stay safe, everybody.
Don't forget, player sponsorship for the Lionesses is available this season. Why not share the burden between a few of you or even a couple of companies? If you can give them some added support, you can find details on their website. Just put Millwall Lionesses into your browser and you will find them easily enough. We have led by example and sponsored their captain, Libby Stubbs. And good night and a happy Christmas.
Lastly, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Follow the Tier 4 guidance, social distancing when outside and a face mask where necessary. That's it from me. Thanks to Henry, George and Stan. Until next time, have a lovely Christmas and may 2021 bring us hope, health and happiness. And that's good night from me.
Good night.